Hello, it's us. We're here.
Hello. Can you hear me? That's the question. Has Sam muted me again? Does he really dislike me that much?
Now that Lucy's muted, I can carry on with the stream. Okay, I'll unmute you again. What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Hello. Welcome to our monthly hangout stream.
Indeed. Also, first of all, before I forget, Speedy, thank you for the resub. It was you, wasn't it? Right up at the top of the thing.
You got a resub?
Yeah, that was right at the start.
I completely missed that. Sorry,
Yeah.
Speedy.
Thank you very much. We are extremely grateful. And, as ever, it's lovely to see you. We're welcome. You're welcome. Boom.
Everybody's welcome.
Got ya. Yeah, especially you, people who are in chat. All of you, you're welcome. Hi, what's good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Sam, and no, this side. Hello, over there.
We'll get there.
Is
Hi,
Lucy.
I'm Lucy. Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
And we're here to just like talk for an hour, really, because I don't know. We thought something.
It's what we do.
We thought we'd do it, and people seem to like it. So
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. You've been spoiled for amazing La Hump videos this week. I know.
Oh, stop it.
If you look,
I mean, Sam had a large part to play in the second one, so.
if you look over there, top of chat.
Oh, yes. Sam has pinned a thing.
Click on that one.
It is a good game, it is good music, and we definitely didn't not realise that it was Outer Wilds anniversary yesterday and went, oh god, we need to post this.
I think that one's Bones, actually. That'll be from the other day.
Oh, is that one Bones?
This one's Outer Wilds.
Oh god.
He
played the flugelhorn? He did not, but I would absolutely love to see that. That would be very funny.
No.
You've never tried to play the trumpet, have you?
No, you know what it would sound like, that video I linked you to last night of the...
Yes.
Well,
Portsmouth Symphonia.
That's the one, yeah.
Long may they reign. Sadly, no longer.
Yeah.
If anyone needs cheering up, go look up. Well, depends if you're a musician or not. If you're a musician, you probably already know about the Portsmouth Symphonia. They were an orchestra that were bad, deliberately so, I think, or they were like people who were trying to play instruments that weren't their main instruments, something like that. I can't remember. There have been several orchestras that have done it.
I looked them up last night, and I can give
famously awful.
Yeah.
Trumpets never sound good. How? Oh damn! I just realised that is also a quote, isn't it, from a John stream?
Yeah. No. After I sent you the video last night, just to be like, I know you'll have heard of them, but I just have to make sure, because if not, then it is my duty to torture the musician. But yes, I looked them up, and yeah, it was like either they just didn't play instruments, or they were practiced and trained musicians who were deliberately playing an instrument they had never played before. Yeah. So and it sounds exactly like that.
It is beautiful. It is art, and I love the idea of it. And it is just, it makes me so happy that they exist. I don't think they.
It seems to be past tense. I was just going to try and look up. Is it also
the trombone champ of professional musicians? Yes. Oh yeah, their Alzo Sprach is chef's kiss. It's just so very good. Alzo Sprach is hard with a normal orchestra.
Yeah. There we go. I'm trying to find it so that I can link it without playing it and probably getting the stream muted.
I don't think it's recognisable enough, honestly.
Maybe it would be safe, but there you go, chat, for a treat. Knock yourselves out on that one.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a very British sense of humour thing. It's like, let's make an orchestra that's just shit.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it's funny.
But that's the thing.
Everybody
it's like
will have a great time. Again, it's like making art badly.
Yeah,
this is what we stand for.
It's Dadaist in its execution, because there's rules, there's guides. Yeah. It's not just like, I don't know, let's just be a bad orchestra. No. Under these specific conditions, we're going to be a bad orchestra, and we're going
to try and play.
Yeah,
and see what happens.
They're not just like, oh, here's the music, toot toot pop, ha ha honk, isn't that funny? It's like, no, we're going to try. We're going to do our best, but under impossible conditions. Good luck. It's that. Yeah, it's.
It is beautiful and wonderful, and I love it very much.
Yeah, as you can tell, it excites the artist in me. It's like, ooh, yeah, that's very silly.
Yes. But yeah, hello everyone.
Hi.
Welcome in. For those of you who are new, this is our monthly, chatty hangout stream
Yeah.
where we we actually show our faces, and we talk to you lovely people in chat, usually about stuff we've been reading, but most of the time it gets off on various tangents. And then for the second hour of the stream, we take a break, and then we go over to a narrative game of some description. Currently, we're going through Scarlet Hollow. So yeah, that's what we do. And because we didn't do one in April because stuff was busy, we've done 2 in May instead. So you get 2 for 1.
Yeah.
What's everyone drinking today? Cocktail hour. I just had a gin and tonic.
I've got
H2O.
Bristol Finest.
Yeah.
Water.
No, I have an empty mug with tea. Yeah, sad times. Blood orange seltzer. Nice. Iron brew. Gatorade. Ooh, Rooibos tea with citrus flavour. I've never got on with Rooibos, you know. I don't know why.
Yeah, the only one I've been sort of, or the only time I've been sort of okay with it, and you still didn't like that when you tried it, was the mint chocolate tea that I had.
Oh yeah.
Which was Rooibos with
yeah
cacao nibs and mint, basically with mint and chocolate flavouring mixed in. But it was actually nice. I was okay with that one.
Because it's got kind of a. Am I right in saying Rooibos got kind of like a malty flavour?
Yeah, it's a little bit malty.
Maybe that's why I don't like it.
Yeah.
My mum loves it. I'm just like, go for it. Have all the Rooibos tea you want.
Yeah.
Still not a huge fan of Rooibos on its own. Okay. Is it Rooibos or Rooibos? I actually don't know. I've only ever heard it pronounced. Well, Sam obviously pronounced it Rooibos, but I've only ever heard it before that pronounced Rooibos. So
I've only ever heard it pronounced unconfidently, or it's another one. It's like I'm just going to jump to another subject entirely, if that's okay. But
this is what we do on this.
It kind of loops back around to narrative games. So there was a huge 2.5-hour video that went up today about Disco Elysium from
nice.
from People Make Games. It's a very, very good video journalism group, mainly headed up by a guy called Chris Bratt, but he works with a bunch of other people, sort of former Eurogamer alumni, who does like deep dive documentaries about video games, usually difficult subjects, and makes truly excellent documentaries about these things. And they ended up going in, they as a group, not, I'm pretty sure Chris uses he, him pronouns. I just realised that might be confusing suddenly anyway. They, as in People Make Games, got into like a big documentary about the making of Disco Elysium, and then what happened afterwards with the whole fallout at the studio and rights ownership and stuff. And me, being the absolute pleb that I am, I started watching it earlier with the sole purpose, initially because I didn't have time to watch the whole thing, although I do want to, of seeing how the studio name is pronounced. Because it's written ZA/UM, and I'm like, is there some kind of inflection? Is it Zaum or something like that, or whatever? And he just goes Zaum. And literally, as soon as he said Zaum, I'm like, sweet, thanks, Chris, and just got out to go back to what I was meant to be doing this afternoon, which wasn't watching 2.5 hours of very good documentary.
I just need this pronunciation.
Exactly. It's like, this is going to be an authoritative subject. This is someone who's going to know how to say this name by this point in making the video. Good. I have that now. I now know how the studio name is pronounced. Thank you very much. I'll come back for the rest of this information later. Nice. That's how I work.
Always good. And yes, I know that it's Afrikaans, so it sounds Dutchish, which is why I would always assume it was Bosch, just because, Dutch. There's a lot of sh sound in Dutch. Again, Arian, you may correct me if I am wrong, but I feel like all the Dutch I've heard is largely, there's a lot more at least sh sound than we have in English, I think.
Are you factoring in my impeccable Dutch accent for Dr. Van Helsing?
Oh God, for what's his face? Oh yeah. English, an Afrikaans speaker would pronounce a first syllable slightly differently. Oh,
with
okay.
A bit more of a roll.
I don't know. I don't want to
No.
screw everything up.
No, again, me and accents is, as we've discussed at length, a difficult subject. I only ever feel like I'm taking the piss, even when I'm not.
I mean, you say that. My northern accent in Secret Garden definitely took on numerous forms. This is like generic northern. Let's go with that. What does that mean? I don't know.
Weird, man.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
suddenly Geordie. I didn't go Geordie, which I think probably would have been what you'd ended up going into.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the ooh is slightly different, but it's close. Okay.
Them kids is mucking boat in garden again. No, well, where did that go? That's all over. Yeah, I can't not swing into. Wow, this is why I don't.
Are you secretly Geordie?
No, I do actually not Geordie. I do have there's a Mary Wilkins Freeman poem that is written, I think, intended to be read in Scottish.
Oh right,
in a Scottish accent. Yeah, it's quite nice.
I mean, is like the actual phonetic writing any good?
Yeah,
there are some authors that can write Scottish phonetically really well, like a Scottish accent really well.
It's not Robbie Burns.
Oh yeah.
But what I would say is that to my English eyes it passes fine.
Yeah.
Sounds like I'm going into a poem myself there. To my English eyes it passes fine. Yeah. But it's not written in a way that kind of drifts over into what feels like mockery.
Right, yeah.
So it's like it's written in a way that I feel that I could probably read with a Scottish lilt to it without getting tripped up, which is actually quite a skill.
That's what I meant about authors being able to write things. I guess not entirely accurately phonetically, but certainly in a way that makes it slightly easier as an English speaker to naturally sort of fall into a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
And as Amara said, writing Scottish phonetically is you should really be writing the dialect and not the accent. Yeah. And the number of different dialects as well.
Yeah. It's also quite long, but I've just sent it to you on Discord so you can have a look if you want to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You can see what I mean.
Does drinking Ironbury help? I don't know.
It's me from
Scotland. Couldn't possibly take that one on.
No.
This always reminds you of the fact that in Kingsman franchise, Merlin was supposed to be Welsh, but Mark Strong can't do a Welsh accent, so they went with Scottish instead. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I feel like
Welsh is the harder accent.
Yeah, I was going to say Welsh is probably the harder accent.
Yeah.
Although now we have a Welshman sort of to hand to ask, hey Trelawney.
You.
Just put bud on the end of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just imagine Trelawney and then you can speak Welsh. Well, not speak Welsh, but speak in a Welsh accent.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Just a Welsh tree
spirit.
Hi,
Harpers. Welcome in.
Hello.
Hope you are well. But yeah, you've been enjoying the Mary Wilkins Freeman.
I have. They've been really good.
Yeah.
I think I'm finished with them. For now, maybe.
Mm-hmm. I do like her poems as well. I didn't realise she wrote poems until you started reading them.
Yeah. So, that's the thing is, like, because I read the ones in the book that I had. There were two. There was one that they put at the start, one at the end, which I really really liked. I was like, more of these, please. And then I just looked up like collections of her poems, and most of them seem to be written like for children and that's fine, but in a kind of nursery rhyme sort of style, which did not really vibe with the rest of the ones that I was reading about subjects like death and stuff like that. I still found a few others that did feel a little bit. I mean, even like ones that were written for kids, but felt a little bit less like a nursery rhyme, like that kind of thing. But yes, I was hoping for more, but I like the ones that she did. I liked the ones that she did that I liked, basically, and those are the ones that I picked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also nice to have been able to focus on quite prolific female author.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, actually nice to be able to focus on someone who hasn't just written like one thing that's kind of, well, a bit like, I know Mary Shelley wrote more, obviously, but the one thing that she's known for is obviously Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And it's actually nice to find a female author who is good, you like reading, and has also written a heck of a lot of stuff. And it's just like, oh, okay, good. We can actually do more of this, and I guess bring her to the fore a little bit more.
Yeah, and the thing I know I've pointed out a few times in the past, not just like a woman author who is lauded in the books for being a feminist, but actually with that wrote ordinary female characters as protagonists, like just because again when there's it's like there's a sci-fi the sci-fi short collection that I've got edited by Adam Roberts. There's again even in that there's like short stories written by women, and it's like great, and the protagonist still has to be a guy. Even as you say, Mary Shelley, Dr. Frankenstein, or in the other one that she wrote in there, which is very similar, was like an early kind of beta version of Frankenstein. It's about a guy. There's another one that's also by a different author whose name, of course, I forget, because it's not John. John
Ortherman.
Yeah. And again, it's like the protagonist is a guy, and it's just nice to have someone who's like, nah, you know what? I'm going to write about women. Like, okay, and there's a couple of men in there, but by and large, most of the characters are women interacting with other women, and it's really nice. It's really refreshing. It's like good for someone of that era who just clearly went, no, I'm going to do this instead, and it's great. I really appreciate that, and
it's like her writing about what she knew rather than going, this is how one is successful. People writing stories about male heroes is like, no, I'm just going to write what I know and what I know I can write about well. And again, it's the fact that they are normal women. They are not like femme fatales or some kind of
they're not stereotypes or anything like that. It's
Bechdel test books, yes, exactly.
And again, it's that thing of when a male author is writing about his female characters and describing them as, well, she was in her 50s and quite frumpy and quite homely, and no one ever really thought of her as a looker. It's like you can't help but see that this is a man writing this, and just when it's the perspective, like the originating perspective, is clearly so very different. You can say the same thing, but it feels more comfortable. It's like, this is just her describing herself, describing people she knows, describing someone who is a real relatable person. And she's not doing it to be like, no, don't worry about her, lads. The real looker you want is the one over here. She's going, this is what this woman looks like. This is just how she lived.
And not even that. It's like it feels like it's coming from a place of knowledge of like she's not necessarily describing the woman as she looks necessarily, but it feels like she's describing how the woman feels about herself. Which as women in society, I think certainly I can relate to, and I think most other women can as well. It's just it's written in a slightly gentler way, which is nice.
They're just I just really, really love those stories, and I think reading them as well, coming through spring and going into this sort of summer period as well, it's just lined up really nicely for me. Temperature wise, because they feel like the other observation I had was that they feel like stories that deserve to be read slowly. Like they're asking to be just considered. They are kind of almost it's like hot, slow, lazy kinds of stories, not in any sort of negative or derogatory way. They feel like stories
stories to read on a summer evening.
Exactly. They feel like a summer evening in a story, whatever the subject. And it just hit perfect. So I've enjoyed that a lot.
read a much more modern book recently, and a big part of the book is referring to and quoting a bunch of fictional authors, and don't think a single one was female. I mean, if they're fictional authors, you can at least put in at one woman. It's not that much effort. Just change your name, for God's sake. Yeah, that is kind of sad. Yeah. But yeah, it feels like both of the things we've been reading have actually been. I mean, I deliberately chose The Secret Garden just because this time of year is the ideal time of year to read it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of it's felt nice that we've chosen things that suit this time of year quite well. And also, if you're thinking of reading Three Men on a Boat on a boat.
Yeah.
Next as well, I guess that's kind of summer holiday type.
Yeah,
vibe.
That's why I was thinking of it. I've not started reading it in my own time yet, and I'm gonna have to do that this week. But yes, it felt like it again lined up quite nicely with the weather and the time.
Yeah.
So I'll probably be reading it well into winter, but we'll start it now and see how we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women write women literature. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only thing we know how to write. We can't possibly write any kind of hard sci-fi or
the first
stuff.
Sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've had this discussion before as well. It's like the first sci-fi isn't. I mean, people say that kind of the first sci-fi book is kind of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No,
there is an older one, and I can't remember her name, which is really sad. But I want to say it's like Catherine someone.
Yeah, it was from like the 1700s or something.
It was like really early.
Yeah, it was like a sort of fantastical imagining of from that era, a utopia. And it's like, oh, this is one of the first sci-fis. Yeah.
Arian still wants to find a video game with a woman as a main character, which is properly done, like an actual JRPG kind of game where you're following the protagonist rather than making your own story, like in a game like Skyrim.
Oh yes.
Yeah. There are so few. And the thing that pisses me off is the fact that you've got big games like Assassin's Creed who could have just gone, for example, an Odyssey, could have just gone Cassandra. Is it Cassandra? Is that her name?
Yes.
That's your main character. Instead, you get a choice. And I get that it's nice to have a choice, but also every single one of the protagonists in every Assassin's Creed game, apart from Rogue, I think. Rogue is a woman? But that's a smaller one. Anyway, all of the big main ones, at least, have all been male. And it's like...
Yeah.
Now you decide to go, oh, you can be both. You can be either, sorry. And it's like, no, why don't we just railroad the gamer here? Because obviously gamers will go, I don't want to play as a woman. But, it's like, why don't we actually have just, you are a female character, full stop, end of story.
Yeah.
Doesn't change anything.
I've had that problem for so many years where it's like, your choices, the range of choice for so long is just like, you can be man or you can be either. Like, great. And so when it's like, oh, a strong female protagonist, list your favorite female protagonists in a video game, and it's always femshep. Right.
Oh yeah.
Now let's spend the next half hour literally just unpacking those two syllables in that one word, femshep, that you are listing as one of the greatest female protagonists in a video game of all time. Yeah. Ooh, we've got a lecture to come if you want it. About what what the good grief.
Yeah. Often in games where you can choose, it doesn't change the story at all. Yeah. I would be really interested to, I mean, obviously it would take a lot more work from the studio, but if you could choose, for example, like how people interacted with you would be different. Like you would get sexist comments, or you'd get like areas of the world, if for example it's an open world game like Assassin's Creed, for example, areas of the world would be less safe for you as a woman. It's just like, that feels like a really interesting angle that people could take, but I think they're just too too scared of the gamers with a capital G.
Yeah. And yes, Harpus, I've heard that reason too, and it's another one that makes me just...
Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah.
Stuff-breakingly mad.
Because God forbid you look at a man's backside, because that's gay.
Fellas, is it gay to play as a man in a video game? Yeah,
it's just pathetic.
Yeah.
It's just silly. Very, very silly. That's why I thought, obviously kind of old news now, but Senua's Sacrifice,
Yeah,
Hellblade.
Hellblade, yeah.
Which is Sacrifice? I can't remember what any of the other, because have there been two more, or there's like
No,
one coming?
there's one coming out. I forget.
Senua's something else.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. No, the first one is Senua's Sacrifice.
Senua's Sacrifice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But is the most of the Metal Gear series about looking at Snake and or Raiden's bums? Yes. Nice.
What a thrill.
Yeah. But I just, yeah, that's why I liked that game, because not only were you playing as a female protagonist, but it was showing an incredibly difficult thing to show in a game, which I think they did very well.
Yeah.
That being, was it just sort of general psychosis? Am I right in saying? Certainly some kind of mental troubles that she was going through.
I forget now, because they talked a lot about it, and they made like I think a bit of a documentary and stuff about it. Yeah, I forget the details now. But yeah, no,
it was just a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
In that, although again though, I feel like that's sort of shooting not shooting themselves in the foot, but it's playing into the hands of, oh well, female protagonists in games can only do like the weaker stuff and like the stuff that's dealing with feelings.
So it's like, well, it's that whole thing of men are allowed to be mediocre. Men are allowed to have the full like male protagonists in video games are allowed to have the full range of things happen to them. The guys can be bland, ordinary John Gunsman, or he can be interesting and complex Jean Gunsman. And
why is it suddenly French?
Because he's interesting and complex and mysterious. And that's the thing, but it's like, if we're ever going to have a female protagonist, she can't just be Jane Gunswoman. No, she's got to have something a bit weird, a bit interesting. She's got to have like, she's got to have problems and stuff, and maybe there can be like emotional or mental problems and stuff. And like, okay, maybe we don't. Maybe we could just, I don't know. If you have enough, and I just want to be clear, I'm speaking about these issues in a slightly mocking term, not to be ableist, but to mock the ableism and the attitudes of the people who tend to do this. I just want that to come across. I'm not. Yeah. If I failed that, I apologise. But I'm trying my best to make fun of the people who say the inane things rather than actually say them myself.
But yeah, it's like, and again, what people are saying, like, Kat and. Yeah, just the whole kind of, we must make our women in games look perfect and like... Yeah.
I do want to say, actually, I've just remembered, obviously, Control exists. Control, which is damned excellent.
Yes,
and
Control, yes.
Jessie Faden is actually, in terms of, like, problems, she's pretty much treated the same way as a male protagonist would be, which is nice and refreshing and actually kind of jarring when people just go, you're in charge? Cool. And not like, a woman in charge? What? Lol. Yeah. It's like,
well, also I think because a decent proportion of the people that she is talking to are women. Like, there are women in power in the structure in which she is in. So
it just sort of treats it like matter of fact, like, cool, and everyone just kind of gets on with it, and it's great. And there is also recently announced Alan Wake 2. Well, as in Alan Wake 2, they announced it a little while back, but they actually showed off a trailer the other day, and it's coming later this year. Nice. I don't actually know. I think Remedy have said there's basically two protagonists, one of which is Alan Wake 2, and the other is a black woman called Saga. And it's great.
That's an epic name.
Right? It's for, well, I mean, for the series, for the games, it absolutely makes sense, because it's going to get weird and it's going to get recursive and fold in on itself. But it's like, that's great. That's really cool. Thank you, Remedy. Good job. Long may it continue. And so that's really great. And it is nice that there are actually, again, big actual mainstream developers who are now looking at these things and going, yeah, we can do better.
Maybe not. And what Noelle said as well about Aloy. It's like, yes, Aloy is wonderful. I love the fact that she's the cool character that she is, and her design is really cool. But also just seeing the stuff that, and we were talking about this the other day, the whole like amazing, like obviously the graphics being amazing and everything.
Yes.
Is like, oh, she's got peach fuzz. She's an ugly woman.
They gave her
Women
a
don't.
beard.
Yeah, it's just like, we're human beings.
All right,
Human
bro.
beings have hair.
Mm.
We are apes, guys.
Mammals.
And it's just,
That's how it works.
yeah, it's just, yeah, they're like, but the only alternative, of course, in their minds is either woman ugly, therefore doesn't have massive boobs and look like Lara Croft, and it's just like, there is no middle ground here.
Yeah.
A lot of the modern stuff you've seen from Lara Croft games is not quite for you. Too much of her getting badly hurt and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I haven't
kind
actually seen much of the recent ones.
Yeah. They kind of, cause you obviously had Lara Croft as the name in kind of dungeon, well, not like sort of ancient ruin delving action archaeology kind of gameplay.
Yes.
A lot of climbing, platforming, shooting wildlife when you get there.
What every archaeologist wishes they were.
Yeah, exactly. Like smashing pottery and shooting endangered livestock in the face. That's the thing. And then they sort of stopped doing those for a bit, or they weren't so well received. And then Naughty Dog came along and made Uncharted, and so kind of the joke became Nathan Drake / Larry Croft. And now Tomb Raider games kind of seem like they're coming back on the back of that, where it's like, oh, Uncharted's really popular and kind of nailed the format that we were going for. So we're going to make Uncharted games now, but with a female protagonist who's called Lara Croft, is sort of roughly that.
Yeah.
But they do, I think they still get Rhianna Pratchett to write them, so that's,
Oh, okay.
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that.
I did like the old Lara Croft games in terms of the actual gameplay and like puzzling and stuff, and the fact that Lara Croft in general is pretty sassy.
Yeah.
Like her dialogue lines are pretty good, but it's very much male gaze. Just like, no one runs around in that little clothing even in the jungle, because you are going to get bitten.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did we get onto this? Oh, Mary Wilkins Freeman.
Oh, yeah. Feminism.
Yes. Woo.
Yeah. Hey.
Which is going back to Secret Garden, which is why I quite like the Secret Garden, because the protagonist is a vicious little madam. It's just like, this is, as whoever it was in chat said, this is the power of spoilt child.
Yeah.
But it's still, I like it. It's a good story.
Yeah.
Even if it does have a little bit of the kind of think good thoughts and you'll be fine.
Yeah, go out in the garden.
Yes.
That'll make you well.
Yeah, fresh air will solve everything.
Just eat a good breakfast.
As long as it's psychosomatic. Yes. But also I do really like the fact in that it's like getting fatter is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because that is very anti what we are thrown in our faces all the time at the moment, and the world in which we live as, good Lord, do not ever put on any weight, even if you're skinny.
If you're going to eat that, it's got calories in it. That'll kill you, you know.
Yeah, I love when little girls are actually written like little girls. Yes, absolutely. Spiteful little brats. But she's, and Colin as well, he's also a spiteful little brat.
Yeah.
It's just, but just the fact that, like, them actually behaving like children is what the aim is, basically. And that, when you look at a lot of kind of, especially young adult literature, fiction, a lot of it's about the protagonist being a kid who is forced to grow up way before their time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of romanticized, which I think is really sad.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of fantasy as well, a lot of young adult fantasy sort of has your protagonist being like 16 or something and like leading an army or something like that. And it's just like, maybe let your kids be kids for a bit longer in your fiction. And I like the fact that the Secret Garden, basically these kids have had to not act so much like kids because both of them have had tragedy hit them, and therefore they don't really know how to act, and no one's treating them like children. Everybody's just kind of treating them like these untouchable objects that nothing should and could happen to. Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's just like, oh wait, no, they're just kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there was a time where sort of the young sort of like inexperienced, way out of their depth teenager suddenly finds themselves in charge and responsible for everything was kind of subversive, and was like, oh yeah, what an original thought to put someone who has absolutely no experience or clue in charge of a great big responsibility, and they have to learn very quickly, and that's their coming of age journey. And now it's a kind of, when do I get my army? And actually, I want more grounded, more relatable stories, more tales of up and down the age spectrum, frankly, people dealing with more normal situations that are just a little bit outside, like, it can be a weird situation, but lower the stakes a bit.
Yeah.
You're not saving the world again, really. We saved it last week.
Yeah. And like, that's the thing, like, again, that's what I love about the possibilities with fantasy, especially. Like, you can put people in stupid situations that wouldn't necessarily exist in this day and age or world, but why don't you actually show the impact of that on like a 18-year-old? Because they're not going to shrug it off and just go, cool, I will go and save the world or something, or I will deal with this trauma later, I'll be fine. It's just like, no, what if something bad happens to them and they get, again, like, for example, The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. It's just like, no one ever sits, like, there's no kind of, how does Bilbo actually feel about this? How does Frodo feel about this? This is a very traumatic event that they're suddenly thrown into and gone, you are the one who's going to save the world. This is like, I know obviously in Lord of the Rings there's a bit of kind of, Frodo, especially in the films, there is a bit more shown of like Frodo having second thoughts and all of that, but it's just like, and obviously it does damage him to a degree because it would. But like, there's like, the only stuff you tend to see in that kind of genre is, I don't think I'm cut out for this. Best friend going, yes, you are. Okay, I'm cut out for this. I'll be fine.
I'll do the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like, I mean, you said Lord of the Rings. I like, actually, with that, kind of the moral ambiguity of a Gandalf that it introduces. Like, he's the wise wizard who is there to protect them and shepherd them on their journey. And I'm pretty sure it comes up a couple of times where people are like, should you have done this? And Gandalf's like, yeah, I kind of pulled a few strings to sort of manipulate them into going on this incredibly dangerous journey, because I know that they have to, but I also know how bad it's going to be for them, and that if they knew the stakes of what they were getting into from the start, they wouldn't do it.
They wouldn't do it, no.
I accept that this is on me, and whatever damnation it may bring to my soul afterwards, or whatever. But like, I'm Gandalf kind of accepting, like, I've done the bad thing here, I know that, but I'm going to be with them as best as I can to see it through, but I know that this is not what they signed up for. I feel bad about that. Like, I respect that as, he's not just like he's not just a noble wizard who's always out to do good. He's actually like, which is good. And I was, Kat saying about, teenage chosen one trope has been so overused. Absolutely agreed. Tiffany Aking, still haven't read them, need to. But the whole Narnia thing. It's like, obviously Narnia in itself, the whole series of books, has an agenda. It is not a subtle agenda. Not in the slightest. Good Lord, C.S. Lewis. But and the whole kind of, let's give a bunch of, are they teenagers even? I don't even know how old they're. I don't think all of them are, frankly. I think like a couple of them might be, and the others.
The youngest one is like 10 or something. Anyway, let's make them kings and queens.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, these children shall don the armor of God and go to a holy war against the evil, and it's like,
yes. I mean, again, it's very much doing the very, very sort of Christian thing of, children are pure and pure and innocent and wonderful and stuff. Therefore, we shall send them to fight our battles against the bad guys who are Satan. It's like, maybe not. Maybe don't tell kids this. Maybe don't make this a children's book.
And then the films were just riding the Lord of the Rings hype of we need a fantasy thing that has to culminate in a bit where one army rushes in and the other army rushes in and the music goes and everyone goes, yay, it's the big fight scene, and it's just VFX running to VFX, and it's kind of weightless and boring.
Yeah. But I just, Tiffany Aching, it's on my list. But like I feel like as Kat said, like The Hobbit and stuff, is like there is a decent amount. Obviously, there is a decent amount of this kind of actual moralizing and thinking about actions, and also having problems with dealing with actions, and basically having a bit of a mental health crisis. But nobody ever focuses on that, because everybody just focuses on the grand fantasy of it. And it's just like, yes, but orcs and elves and the ring and dragons, and it's just like no, hold up. The reason so many books, fantasy or otherwise, any other genre, the reason so many of them are so good is because it focuses on the characters, and it focuses on them as actual human beings, well, or whatever race they are, but you know, people who are
three-dimensional things with wants and needs, stuff they want to do, stuff they don't want to do, in multiple directions, and that's the good stuff. And and that's why so much of Pratchett is so good, because it's just, I mean, so, is it Sergeant Vimes? Is he Sergeant? I think he's Sergeant. I can't remember. Anyway, Vimes. Yeah. Just dealing with things like, there's inequality here. Yeah.
Just, I mean, obviously Pratchett is second to none when it comes to somewhat piercing commentary on the world as it is through the guise of fantasy novels. But like having people with real world troubles that are in the grand scheme of saving the world small. It's like that's the stuff that people want to, that's the stuff people can relate to, and that's how your book's gonna touch people.
I mean, I know I've gone on about this before as well. It's where I feel like so much TV that followed Game of Thrones took, almost deliberately because it's easy to, took the wrong lesson from Game of Thrones. Also, as a Game of Thrones enjoyer, yes, up to and including the final season, that, you know, I've ranted about this a lot, but the lesson that everyone took from it being like, oh well, what if that character that you loved could die, and what if what if you like this person but then their head gets cut off, and it's all like, and just people love a bit of blood and gore and swords and boobs and all that kind of stuff, and let's just put that in another fantasy TV series. And instead, what actually made it thrilling and compelling was because you had a whole bunch of characters who at any given point you kind of knew, you could understand like where they were coming from, even if you hated them, even if you absolutely despised them and your skin crawled whenever they appeared on screen. It's like, but I know I
get your motivation.
Yeah, exactly. I know how they got to be where they are. Even like, you know, Joffrey, the ultimate spoiled brat villain child. Like, you can see how he ended up like he did because of his parents, because of the upbringing that he would have had in this situation. You can see how they ended up like they did because of the circumstances in which they, and that all played together very nicely. And it did go off the rails a bit once they started like introducing bigger and bigger caricatures of these things, but kind of up to that point and at stages beyond, it works because you could understand, you could see almost like in the intro sequence all these cogs turning and all these things taking place just out of events that happened when you put these characters with all these different wants and desires together, and made them play off each other. And you have up and down the power structures, people with power and authority and people without, and how they interact and what they do. And yes, undercutting all of that, and this is a conversation Lucy and I had recently, you do have the underlying tension of, what if one of these people snaps? What if one of these people does do something that you don't expect, and people are still vulnerable? You can, someone with a sword and no regard for their own life or safety can suddenly make a drastic change, can suddenly whip out a knife and stab someone. Suddenly everything changes. but that's a very powerful tool to wield and should be used sparingly. And
yes,
there is fiction that does that well, and there's fiction that looks at that and goes, "Oh, cool! Everyone's got a knife and is ready to go." And it's like, no, no.
let's just do that all the time. Yeah.
If you got someone who is pushed too far, can just suddenly, well, I think it's when you're watching The Expanse, wasn't it? It's like someone who's pushed too far can just suddenly pull out a gun and shoot someone, and it's like, ooh, I didn't think you'd do that, but I can kind of see why you did. Okay, that's just completely changed the dynamic of where things are going. All right, let's see where this goes. And it's interesting when handled well. Yeah.
Also, hello, Josh.
Hey.
And also, Twitch is a pain sometimes, Cat.
Yeah.
But it was, like Arian said, the most important thing in creating villains too. But I worry, again, going back to, because I don't know, I just seen so many people talking about stuff like, is it a, what was that? Everyone dying watched Supernatural. Oh, I still haven't watched Supernatural.
The great thing about list. Well, I was just going to say, the great thing about Supernatural is everyone dies, and then everyone goes, no, that's really bad, we need to get them back. But, Dean, they're not in hell anymore. No, they're in super hell. We have to go through hell to get to super hell to rescue them. And it's just that. Every end of season death is completely weightless. But it's really fun because the actors... are they're great. They are incredibly charismatic and fun to watch. It knows how silly it is. But it's a bit
like Merlin.
It's very
Merlin
weightless.
Is so crap. It is objectively just fantasy filler. But the actors are having the best time. Yeah. And it's so much fun to watch, and it's so bad and so predictable, but so good. The most homeopathic, homophobic show you've ever watched.
That is a complex description to unpack.
Yeah. But no, I was going to say about homoromantic.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Homeopathic.
Like,
oh no,
I don't know where to start with. Right.
Yeah. No, I was going to say about. I don't know why I've sort of seen it around a lot, but the whole, is it a court of thorns and roses or something? That's like one of the new hot YA fantasy series or something. I don't know. It's always a something of something and something.
Right.
It's a this of this of this. You see
Song of Ice and Fire.
That's where it's come from.
Yeah.
But and I think, like, again, it's the whole enemies to lovers trope, and it's just making villains it's the whole bad guy trope, but they're just bad. It's just like, oh yeah, but they're a romantic interest. No, they're just abusive. Why are we making this okay? And it's making the villain, because he's evil, therefore villain, hot, and it's like that. No, because that's saying that the female protagonist, if indeed there is a female protagonist, can change him, and that is telling teenagers some bad stuff. And it's like, it doesn't matter what the guy does. Oh, he's just wiped out an entire army of innocent people or something. That's fine. He's hot. It's like, no. Maybe we don't write this. Maybe we give him a bit more complexity, and maybe we make the female protagonist have a bit more agency in this and go, maybe I need to make a better decision here. No. Sounds kind of like Spike. Yep, she can fix him. Yeah. Except he wasn't supposed to be popular. Yes. Also, hello, Parola. Hope you are well.
Welcome.
Sounds Colleen Hoover. Oh, I've heard of Colleen Hoover. The only reason I've heard of Colleen Hoover is because there is someone I watch on YouTube called Amanda the Jedi, who does fantastic essays about mainly horror films, but she's done some on, like, some of Colleen Hoover's stuff, and it's just very much like, why are we writing books glorifying abusive boys / men? Let's not do that. And it's all bad.
Yeah.
But it is very scary how those kinds of books, and I feel like it might be off the back of things like 50 Shades of Grey, possibly. Well, which was off the back of Twilight.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like it is worrying how much of that we are getting now for young adult fiction.
Yeah.
Because You're currently farming Last Wish. Oh, have fun.
Yeah. Cool.
They get super popular on TikTok for some reason. Yeah, TikTok has some interesting things though. How that get super popular. Parents, read what your children are reading. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say saying it sounded like Spike, except he wasn't supposed to be popular. That's I guess especially a television problem where you have a character who's meant to be just an out and out unlikable villain, and oops whoops, because you've cast an actor, you've cast another very charismatic, very likable person to play this. Kind of the David Fincher problem as well, of like, okay, I'm making a film about some really horrible people, right? Who are we going to get to play them? Well, this guy's going to be Brad Pitt, right? We're meant to hate this guy, are we? Yeah, but it's Brad Pitt and he's extremely cool. So a lot of people are going to watch Fight Club and think, yeah, Fight Club, woo, self improvement's bad, self destruction's the way to go, and like, oh,
Yeah.
You missed the point. You absolutely missed the point. You watched this and thought this guy was the no.
Yeah. Just like, can we make villains normal? Like, let's not make them super hot, and let's not make them with some kind of facial disfigurement. Looking at you, James Bond. Let's just make them normal looking.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, I know not the best example, but again, maybe not the best example because he's intensely charismatic. Andrew Scott as Moriarty in Sherlock.
Yeah.
Fairly normal looking dude.
Yeah.
Obviously an actor, very charismatic, but charismatic in the way that that he played his character, in that, oh boy, this guy just could do anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a complete loose cannon.
Yeah.
But there's calculating underneath there. But it's not the kind of thing of, I want Moriarty to be my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because, although there probably were people doing that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like,
Have you seen
Hamlet
Tumblr?
a few years back. Oh, that was a good villain. Yeah, it went, oh god, yeah, Tumblr. Tumblr is a gold mine for so many weird and wacky things. But sort of Hamlet a few years back, I imagine that was incredible. There were so many people doing that. Well, you know. I was
going to say, I feel like you're about to get a lesson here.
Oh,
yeah.
Fine.
The number one rule of the internet is if people can, they will. That's it. That's.
Yeah. I know, but I feel like it wasn't as bad as. I'm trying to think of. Another. I don't know.
Uwu chase me invader from Mars. Giant alien tripod.
He wasn't intended to be like that. No, they never. As we say, they never are.
Yeah.
As a Tumblr girlie, it sure happened and still happens. Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's H.G. Wells looking at Tumblr like, what is this?
Yep. Yeah. But also, like, yeah. That again, that's going to happen with actors, obviously, because they're going to take a role and they're going to go, mine. And everybody's going to go, oh, I see what you did there. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And then they sort of, I guess they end up sort of crushing on the actor rather than, I mean, I guess to the character, if the only place they've seen the actor is as that character, I guess it's all tied up. But I feel like generally it's the actor. We need actors who are less good. We don't need any British actors. That's the main problem.
We need more character actors.
Yes.
More Paul Giamattis. People who just disappear into the role.
We don't need more Jim Carreys.
Oh no, Jim Carrey.
We only need one Jim Carrey. That is enough.
Aww.
Who are less good looking might be a start. Not all perfect human beings. Yeah,
yes.
True.
Yeah.
But it's like people like there you go, Jared Harris. That's a good example.
Yeah.
The fairly normal looking guy.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic actor.
Good grief, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is horrible how we treat actors, celebrity actors especially. At a certain time in their life, at least. Like, no one's, I hope, crushing on Judi Dench and Maggie Smith in the kind of same stalkerish way as they're crushing on younger actors now.
Just in general, the whole, like, hey, this person's a celebrity, which basically means they're a slab of meat for you to, like...
Yeah. Follow around.
Thirst over, like aggressively so. Like again, like find attractive what you want to find attractive, and do with that what you will. But perhaps don't make it the person's problem.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, welcome to the BBC. We have 12 actors, 10 props, and 3 writers. Enjoy your stay. Nice. And no orchestras. Sorry.
I was going to say, and for the BBC, it's like, we're doing a sci-fi. Are we right? Bust out the World War II costumes, lads. Let's go. Like, wait,
yes.
No, we said sci-fi. Yeah, no, it's a time travel where they travel back to a period in time that we've got a bunch of costumes for out back.
Yeah.
If you could just...
Or if it's a sci-fi, where's David Tennant?
Yeah, all that.
Oh, he's in a cupboard somewhere. Who, again, fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Have a lot of time for him, but yeah, very much is kind of let's wheel out the old favourite. David Tennant is absolutely always a win, and I'm very much looking forward to season 2 of Good Omens whenever that comes out.
Good Omens too.
Because Michael Sheen and David Tennant are just so good. I just love watching actors who are very much obviously having the time of their lives, especially if they're working with another actor that they absolutely adore, and those two are just like, you guys are just friendship goals. You're just like, you look like you're having so much fun.
Yeah.
Good Omens 2 is 28th of July. Thank you. That is good information.
Nice.
And I'm very, very interested to see what our Lord and Saviour John Finnemore is going to do.
Long may he reign.
Long may he reign.
Oh, he's been dropping books.
Holding Your Heart for season 2 kind of terrified to be. Yeah, I know. There's no plan here. I mean, apparently Neil Gaiman said that he and Pratchett were, like, he had Pratchett's blessing or something to do more.
Yeah.
Or they were planning something after the first book.
I don't think it was like completely, well, let's go come up with something on the fly. Like, I feel like there was some kind of intent there. Just it obviously wasn't written.
They hadn't got around to it. No.
Yeah.
They did discuss it somewhere. Okay, cool. Yeah. But I just, I mean, it'll be good. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
They did have plans, but just letting John Finnemore loose on it, of all the writers they could have chosen, I am so happy so stoked that he's on board, because for anyone here who doesn't know who John Finnemore is, please, please, please look him up. He is a fantastic writer. I guess he's most famous for Cabin Pressure. Neil Gaiman and John Finnemore working together, bound to be epic. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, John Finnemore already has the kind of Pratchett kind of spin on things.
Yeah. I
Listen
can
to
see.
Cabin Pressure. Yeah. May have to get a VPN. Yes. And yes, for anyone who has never listened to Cabin Pressure, listen to Cabin Pressure. That's an order. It's really good.
Yeah.
It will make you laugh. It'll make you almost cry. And it'll make you absolutely adore John Finnemore and everything he touches.
It's
especially Arthur.
It's one of the few, like, I tend to hate, and I use the term because can't really think of another like shorthand way to describe it. Sort of the village idiot or sort of comic idiot character. The one who's just there to show up and go, oopsie doodle, I did a silly thing, aren't I a fool? Everyone laugh, kind of court jester buffoon. And that was where I thought I wasn't going to like Cabin Pressure when I started listening to it, because
sorry, I had to complete the quote.
Because Arthur, the character that John Finnemore plays, is that archetype, is just the clueless, just like bumbling buffoon, except he's one of the few that I like in that role, because he's actually he's earnest. He's
trying to help. He is always trying to help.
Yeah, he's just very, very sincere, very earnest, both himself and the way the character is written. And it's just it works where that, as I say, that archetype usually bothers me, and I don't like it, because it's just, how do we make someone say the silly thing and then everyone laugh at the silly man? Well done. And
because he's got, the thing I love about him is he has logic.
Yeah.
He's perfectly intelligent.
Yeah.
His logic just works in a completely different way.
Yeah.
It's just like, this, therefore this. no, Arthur, that's not
Yeah.
how that works. But it makes sense. And you
Yeah.
actually look at it and you go, yeah, I can see how you put that together. That does make sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I endorse the cabin pressures as well.
Yes. It is very good and has a fantastic cast.
Yeah.
Episode about the plane flies makes you laugh every time. Yeah, it's the what was it? But why does the air split up? For the sake of the kids? Just Roger, yeah. The perfect foil.
Yeah.
Everybody is everybody's perfect foil in that, actually. It is just just perfectly put together cast. Stephanie Cole, Roger Allam, Benedict Cumberbatch, John Finnemore, occasionally Jeffrey Whitehead, also radio royalty, and Anthony Head occasionally as well, who is just best voice on the airways, I would say. But yeah, it's just such a good cast.
And we'll do things like a visual gag on the radio. I'm pretty sure, like, yeah, I don't really want to try and explain it because I only vaguely remember bits of it, but I just remember hearing like a dissection of how they did this a visual gag on the radio where they're all for some reason wearing absurd costumes and like show up in a hospital or something, and the doctor just, without like drawing huge attention to it, it's been set up beforehand, just makes some comment about like, you want to a fancy dress party or something like that, and it's a kind of, it's almost a visual gag that wouldn't work on TV because the mechanics are that you're meant to like realize, why would he say that? Oh, because, and you recall then that they're wearing absurd costumes, and then you laugh through the realization that that's what he's referring to. Whereas if you just have a bunch of people in silly costumes and someone says it, you go, oh yeah, and move on. So it's a fantastic understanding of the medium of the craft, and that's who you're working with.
It's just it's why I love radio. There are so many more gags, interestingly, you can do without a visual prompt.
Yeah. Which...
Madame. Oh, I can't even remember how to pronounce her name. Yes, can't place her accent. Yeah, I can't remember who that actress was actually. She was fab.
But I was going to sort of loop that back to earlier where I was ranting about like the BBC's approach to sci-fi, which is we've got some World War II costumes in the back, so let's call it a time travel episode and done. That with that within like there are. As a sci-fi lover, he is a sci-fi.
No, really.
No, anyway, like it frustrates me endlessly that there are so many things you can do within that subject, within that medium, on frankly a small budget. You don't need, you don't need space. You don't need cities of the future. You don't need. We travel back to dinosaurs or World War II very specifically, or World War One. There's so much more you can do with that with the framework of sci-fi, with sort of taking a fantastical idea and extrapolating it out, that doesn't have to be big expensive sets and costumes and stuff like that. And it's endlessly infuriating when that's just what we do every time. Oh, come on.
That's why I watched a video the other day from Bernadette Banner. I'm sure there's probably people, I know Arian has watched some of her stuff, about costuming in Doctor Who,
right?
And how the attention to detail in that is achieved, just because like obviously time travel, and you've got humans in the time living as they were in the time. You've got a time traveler who either can be bothered to dress accordingly or is just like whatever. Usually the whatever is the Doctor, and sometimes I guess the companion tries to fit in a little bit more if the trip's planned. And then you've got like alien species, for example, who are living on Earth in that time, and it's just like all of these things that the costume department has to take into account to try and make it believable. That again, it's the small things. It's not like massive, great, huge sets and everything. It's just the small things to make you. I guess it's just to make it more immersive, isn't it? And make you believe the. Funny how interests line up here. I know, right?
Who knew?
But yeah, I just thought it was that was a really good video. And again, it's like as you say, you can do things on a smaller budget if you actually pay attention to the small things, I guess. Where'd you get that from?
That's from Max. Shark fists.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, the one brain cell emote it's very good.
Who got the brain cell? Me? Absolutely not. Absolutely
No,
not.
ain't me. I spent mine earlier. I was making
Fair
a
enough.
thing that probably everyone will get to see tomorrow.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, just yeah. I guess broadly what we're sort of saying with all is just like people should pay a bit more attention to other people a bit more before creating art based on other people. Like think of, or themselves. Like look inside. Sorry, I read brain cell. I was going to go look incel. No, don't do that. No, bad times. Look inward before you go. I want grand this, and I want saving the world, and I want chosen one. It's just like actually, what makes us tick, and like what can you do to make things either believable or relatable in whatever genre, in whatever art form. Just the brain cell is on loan today. Fair. I mean, I guess we should probably take a break in a sec, but before we do, I'm gonna just
no, that's right.
I'm gonna
what you got to plug?
No, I haven't got anything to plug. I'm just reading at the moment.
This sponsored piece by. We're just going to read some ad copy from Casper Mattresses. Do you have trouble getting a good night's sleep? Well, stop sleeping on rocks.
Yes. There you go. That's your advice for the day.
Hashtag sponsored. Stop sleeping on rocks.
Yeah. TM. For anyone who is interested in non-fiction, what I have been trying to put that on the camera. There we go. What I have been reading that is not in any way in frame.
Part of being a
human. This is a book about a chap and his son going to a wood and basically camping there for some days in the manner of Upper Paleolithic people, Neolithic people, and then going somewhere else and experiencing the Enlightenment. And it's all I didn't realize, but it's done in a way that is the largest section of the book is about the Upper Paleolithic, then a slightly smaller section for Neolithic, and a tiny section for the Enlightenment, because that is like, well, somewhat proportionally the amount of time we as human beings spent in those time periods. But it's a really interesting read. I mean, I guess some of you might know, I know obviously Sam knows, I am a huge prehistory nerd. I adore all of that stuff. I found it really, really interesting. I basically did a thesis on it, and like the origins of music. It's all very, very interesting to me. But it's very interesting in that it teaches us a lot about how our brains work and how we work as humans, and how little we have changed brain-wise since like 50,000 years ago. I was like, oh, interesting. And I feel like that's something that people are finding out now with neurodivergence and stuff. It's just like, yeah, this is sort of like everybody's got everybody had a different role in a group, for example. And everybody's brain can't be adequately prepared for every single scenario. Some people are going to be better at one thing, some people are going to be better at another. Some people are going to just completely shut off this thing and go, nope, can't cope with that, can't deal with that, so I'm going to focus on this instead. And it's just really interesting, because we have as a society, we have kind of got to the point where everybody should be able to do everything, and if they can't, there's something wrong with them. And it's like, no, that is not an efficient way of thinking as human beings at all. And yeah, it's just, how does one brain, I don't know. But I'm just like, I've also got a Professor Alice Roberts book called Ancestors, which is about like learning stuff about early peoples through various burials. And yeah, I just hope that there's more, both fiction and non-fiction, or non-fiction obviously, but also fiction that deals with, that experiments with like looking into early humans in the way in a less because there is and there always has been this idea that our ancestors were way more basic than us in our brain development and everything. No, our human brain has not changed. We are exactly the same. And society in prehistoric times. Ooh. Oh, hang on. Is that Chronicles of Ancient Darkness? Because if it is, I've read it. Read that when I was young. Wonder if that had any impact on me. But again, like that is a fantastic series. It's again a YA. Well, it's YA series, but it's very readable as an adult as well. If it's by Michelle Paver, it's that. But if not, you'll have to let me know, because I'm pretty sure there is another one that I have looked into and gone, but I think that might also be a YA one. I'm not sure, but there is, yeah, I don't know. There's just so much more humanizing done in those kinds of where basically you strip everything back and you strip society back, and suddenly it's just like, oh, now you're writing the stuff that's relatable. And I think that probably says a lot about where we are with art and literature. It's just like, let's pile on all of the things, and this is what you want to aspire to, and this is what this character wants to aspire to, and this is going to stab this one in the back to get this, and it's all, again, I feel like it's kind of a Game of Thrones symptom of keep on raising the stakes, and it's just like, no, let's take the stakes away altogether.
I think there's also a lot of, like, in films especially, like formalizing, like you have the structure, you have the standard save the cat 3-act structure, which if you watch any Marvel film they all conform to. God, but the problem is every other film pretty much does it too. Even
because what worked.
And sometimes it's entertaining and sometimes it's not, and really that's just down to the strengths of the other parts. Like we watched Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves the other day, which was very good and very enjoyable. Good. Extremely formulaic in the way the story is structured, but
yes, but that's the point.
Yes, but as you can tell, just from the strength of the actors and the characters they're playing, it works really well. And in that it doesn't jar so much, because it's like, they're playing a D&D campaign basically, like that's essentially how this is playing out, so it fits, it works, it's fine. But I feel like probably also with literature as well, like that you see what succeeds, and then you like strip out all the difficult stuff, all the things that actually add that flavor and texture and interest there. You kind of strip all that out, throw that away, and go, right, what's the bare bones structure of this? What can I copy and just do like a big find, replace, and all the nouns? And we make another one, and then we make profit, and for a while it makes a bit of profit, and then people start realizing they're reading or watching or hearing the same thing over and over again, and then they stop and move on to the next thing that's successful, and everyone goes, right, what's your success? And
Clan of the Cave Bear. Yes, I think I have heard of that. I'm pretty sure I have heard of that. But we'll look it up.
I'm trying to think if I heard of that the other day. Actually, there was. Damn it!
All the recommendations that I get are going to you.
No, this was. This is going to bother me now. Oh no!
Oh dear.
It's that thing. I saw it on Twitter, and I don't remember who was talking about it, but they were talking about like historic young adult fiction, and. It's really good, because it was like yesterday, I think, maybe, but it wasn't an author, it wasn't a person, I think it was an author that I follow who was talking about it, but it was someone else that I follow who I don't remember which of the many people I was, that was saying, and I can't just scroll back because it's Twitter and it's useless like that, you can't just do that. But they were talking about sort of historic fantasy young adult stuff, and just seeing that title, like, wait, was that what one of the things they were talking about? I don't know. It's really going to bother me now. I'm so upset.
Dear.
Oh well.
And if anyone wants a recommendation for apparently a movie from 1986, I bet that was done well.
Oh, right.
Usually prehistoric stuff isn't great. There's lots. Of course there is. It's young adult.
Hey, of course.
And suddenly it's like, oh crap, I don't have anything else to write about. They're in a cave. What are they doing? Just made them bang. It's fine. what was I going to say? Yes, if anybody is interested in that kind of genre of fiction, very niche, I guess, and want a very short read, but a very, very good one, I've probably recommended it before. The Inheritors by William Golding. I wish William Golding was out of copyright, otherwise I would just be reading all of his stuff on Chilliteracy, because I really like William Golding, obviously Lord of the Flies, but he gets human nature really well. Both the ugly side of things, like people being awful, and the nice side of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Inheritors is his very experimental, very short little book from the perspective of people living in Paleolithic times. And yeah, he I think he deliberately like limited himself with his use of language.
Right.
So characters don't have a thought; they have an image or a picture. I think it's a picture.
Yeah.
Like so and so had a picture.
Yeah.
And it's just a really fascinating read, and a really, really good way of portraying the way our brains were starting to understand metaphor and that kind of thing, rather than just I see this thing, this is the thing in front of me.
Yeah.
We're starting to abstract things and everything, which apparently was largely due to drugs.
Hey.
Woo! It was like, oh, cave painting's art. Not entirely.
See, also Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
Was it drugs? It was probably drugs.
It was probably drugs.
I was.
But yeah.
Damn it! I was about to say two things. What was it? I don't know. It was to do with something you were literally just saying. And
Golding out of copyright. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
I think it was going to be like another author or something. No, it's gone. It's going to bother me. I'll remember it in about 3 hours' time.
It's halfway through Scarlet Hollow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
yeah.
Jump scare.
Yeah. No, I was also just going to say the other thing was Arian back up a little bit, saying they've been trying to find a good style of horror. The story they could write probably was something small and subtle. Big is difficult to do for horror. I'd recommend this to anyone because I really, really enjoyed it and I thought it was great. But I think particularly you, if you've not listened to The Willows from Saturday, from this, which I read, it's really, really good. Yeah. I think it's something that you might like.
Sort of natural / cosmic horror.
Yeah. I wanted to bring it up before we swap over to Scarlet Hollow, just because I've had the books out here in front of me, and yeah, it was really, really good. I was genuinely impressed by it and enjoyed it a lot. And that's it was good enough that I wanted to do the whole thing in one stream, even though I could see that it was going to take way longer than usual. I think it's like an hour and a half over what I was expecting to go for.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, but it's I didn't want to break it up into two because I know this all needs to go in one. And yeah, that was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, as kind of a grounded, lowish stakes horror, really. Again, I don't want to spoil things, and so here's a summary of the story that I've just said you should listen to. But yeah, I really enjoyed it as a sort of slightly surreal cosmic horror thing.
Yeah, and Blackwood.
Yes.
I was about to say Blackwater. No. Blackwood is very, very good at conjuring up atmosphere, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I want to kind of look up some of his other stuff as well. Let's say there's another one in here, The Damned, which I will have a read of and see if that's good. I mean, I would expect.
Probably.
But the other one I'm not going to read because we discussed it, The Wendigo. Because it looks, white guy dealing with Native American folklore and having a look through just at least the first few pages, a little bit problematic. So yeah, apparently it's a good story, so I think it's one that I will read probably in my own time, and see what I make of it. But yeah, I think it's probably not one I'd be entirely comfortable reading on stream without heavy editing, and I don't really want to get to the point of just rewriting someone's story, because that just doesn't feel right. But yeah, I'll have a look at The Damned and see if that's good, and see what else I can find of his, because yeah, you've done a couple and enjoyed them. And
yes, I did The Green Light and
The Empty House.
The Empty House. The Empty House was good.
Yeah.
We liked The Empty House. Yeah. Just again the kind of thing of haunted place.
Yeah.
Is it haunted? Is it your mind?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Just
You're listening through reading of Dracula while building a Quacken in Minecraft. Nice.
Just yeah.
Oh, we should get back to Minecraft.
Yeah. Just give me a good. You're in a place. It's a place you understand, but it's a bit weird.
Yes.
Just that. Like, it doesn't need to be.
Can you tell why it's weird?
No, but it's weird in a way that you can relate to and understand. Like, it's weird in a way that you, as a normal person inhabiting a house or a place, like you're in a house on any given day and you hear a strange sound. Okay, cool. What was that sound? Well, might just be a cat. I don't have a cat. Oh, well then maybe it's something else. And just take something. Obviously, I heard a sound like something falling over. Okay, stuff falls over all the time. But take something relatable. Take something that I, as a normal everyday person, have probably experienced or can imagine, and then give me a strange reason for that happening, and I'm probably quite happy. Yeah. Also, Perla, that's lovely to. Yeah, you're saying you've been listening through Dracula whilst building a Quacken. Hey, nice. I saw you've been doing that actually, and thank you.
That's a good combination. Yeah. It's probably the pan you use to keep the bin closed. It's always that pan. Maybe it's possessed.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, should we take a break? I've just seen the time.
Yeah, we got talking.
We did. This is what we do.
Yeah. But yeah, I need to refill my water because I actually got through the whole bottle.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Get you being all hydrated and stuff.
I'm going to roll downstairs.
Oh, you had a really weird knocking while being alone in the house in Norway while reading Stephen King. Oh no.
Yep. Good.
You're lucky to be alive.
Well, yeah, congratulations. But yeah, I'm going to take us to a break. So we're going to disappear for about 5 minutes or so, and then when we come back, we're going to play some Scarlet Hollow, I guess, because we've got more of that to go.
Cosmic horror. Woo. Well, maybe not cosmic horror, but certainly horror.
Oh, I don't know. When it left episode 2, we were suddenly starting to deal with some pretty.
Oh yeah,
pretty
right.
We just had glimpses of some stuff that we did not expect. But yeah,
it's all fine.
Yes, everything's good. Excuse me. Yeah, so we're going to put our faces away, and we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes or so. So, you know the drill. Get up. Why am I burping now?
Because you've just had loads of water.
Yeah. I've just hit like a threshold in my body's right. That's it. Burps o'clock. Yeah. Get up, stretch your legs, rotate your fluids. Do what you're going to do, and we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes or so.
Bye for now.
Bye for now. I need to click the buttons. There we go.